By now, you should have guessed it. She Discovered is out here in Miami, Florida. And I'm so excited about this episode because I'm interviewing vegan bodybuilder Torre Washington. Torre Washington has been a vegan for over 20 years. But I want to understand the ins and outs of bodybuilding. Like, the question that we always get is, how are you a bodybuilder when you don't eat meat? Where do you get your protein from? How do you build muscle mass? But Tori is here to answer all those questions. But what's so dope is this episode, I have a special guest, my cousin Kirby of Fit Nation. And Kirby's also a bodybuilder. My cousin be in the gym, y'all. But he has his own questions about how is this possible to really be in the bodybuilding field and also be vegan. So what up, Kirby?
It's good, everybody. I'm looking forward to this podcast. And I have a few questions myself, Shay. That's based on the macros, how many we need, how many we don't need, and what's based on the supplements that he's actually taking or not taking supplements from. I'm really looking forward to this podcast, man. Really get it in.
Just getting it. And at the same time, while we're here, we definitely gonna enjoy Miami, Florida. You heard?
Oh, yeah.
You heard?
Can't wait. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Tori, thank you so much for being on She Discovered podcast. I'm really excited to have you here. How do you feel today?
Feel good. Thank you so much. I appreciate, the time, and I know it's hard to get a hold of me sometimes.
It is, but I'm so appreciative because, again, we're out here in Miami and I'm from New York, but I've been following you for a while because, like I shared with you, I met you. You were on a panel at a Brooklyn Black Vegan Fest, right? So me and my homegirls and my homeboy, we were vegan at that time, and we were like, hey, let's go check it out, be with like-minded people.
Right.
And you were on the panel.
Right.
And then you were just sharing your journey. And I was just like, I've never heard of a vegan bodybuilder. And, although this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we knew the whole vegan craze, right? But to hear a person as a bodybuilder, and this was around the time all those documentaries was coming out, you know what I'm saying? I think the one was... what was it called again? I believe it was the one where the guy was juicing, where he was like, you either die or you juice. I can't remember the name.
Oh, and it had dye in it. I think.
I should have been more prepared.
I think I know you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. But all these, basically all these documentaries about how to become vegan, how to become plant-based. But this was new to me. So I was like, yo, this is cool. And nothing. I was just like, yo, he built. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I was just like, okay, let me follow him. And then as I began my podcast 3 years ago, and then now I'm kind of transitioning where I want to go out and talk to people that are outside of New York City. And then I reached out to you. So I'm so grateful that you said that you wanted to be a part of this.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. So of course we're here with my cousin Kirby.
No doubt.
Kirby is also a bodybuilder, and he's kind of going to be my, backup, because there's certain questions that he may know better being a bodybuilder. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that Kirby's here as well. I know he's definitely excited. So I want to start off with a kind of background a little bit. Like, before we go into bodybuilding, how long have you been vegan? What has that journey been like for you?
Well, I appreciate the question. And I get it a lot. But I think what tends to happen is once I explain it, people are like, what? So I was raised vegetarian.
Okay.
And I was raised vegetarian because my mom is Seventh-day Adventist. And, if you know Seventh-day Adventist, it's the health message is what
very strong
hangs over it. But to be honest with you, a lot of Seventh-day Adventists don't typically actually follow the health message, which I found that to be uncommon because I thought that was the main thing in regards to being Seventh-day Adventist.
Right.
But anyways, my mother raised us, me and my brother, in that manner. And so vegetarian was all we knew. We didn't know it as the terminology vegetarian until, now everything has a label.
Right.
And then once we proceeded, we moved to Jamaica. My mom's Jamaican, so most of my family's Jamaican. Okay. And I was born in the States, but my brother was born in Jamaica. And so when I lived in Jamaica, of course, I wasn't vegan or vegetarian at that time because of my grandparents. They had no idea what that type of eating involved.
So your mom was the one who was Adventist, not your grandparents?
Correct.
Oh, okay, so they were unaware of that type of lifestyle.
Correct,
okay.
Correct. They raised my mom Catholic.
Got it.
So once we lived there, we moved away from it. But, we were young. So it wasn't like we were adamant about what we ate. We just had to eat. And so then we moved back to the States about 3-4 years later. And I started to get back involved into that style of eating. But we didn't come directly into it. And so in around 1998, I decided to really remove any type of animal product out of my nutritional intake. And the reason that happened for me is I was getting more involved with the Rastafarian culture.
Got it.
I started to really read about it and grow locks, and I saw that Rastas were really Aital, and Aital is the terminology used when a man just don't eat anything that's
pure
animal. It's all from the ground.
Yeah.
You don't even use plates and forks and knives and live in the bush and eat like that, right? So that's when I said, I don't want to contradict. If I'm going to call myself a Rasta, I must really be a Rasta.
Right.
And so, but most of my boys they didn't do that. I did. I was like the only one to say, you know what? I'm going to just eat straight plants and fruits. 98, I did that. And I've been doing it 25 years, just eating like that. And I didn't start bodybuilding until 2009. So
how did that now come along? Now incorporating bodybuilding as a plant-based, lifestyle and dietary.
So when I was living in Jamaica, I moved there from Alabama. So I came with a country boy accent. So in Jamaica, you're kids. So they picked on me for how I sounded.
Correct.
And of course, I was a lot more fair skinned than I am now. And, that picking on kind of parlayed into me, because I was a single mom, no father.
Yeah.
Parlayed into me saying, well, I need to figure a way to, I just taking the energy and put it somewhere else instead of fighting or whatever.
Anger,
so I started to watch a lot of cartoons. And so I got into superheroes, Superman, Wolverine, those type of things, Transformers. And I saw that their strength, of course, no one wanted to mess with them because they can, mess you up.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, all right, let me start doing something. So I started doing my grandfather was an electrician, and he had a big iron block that he used to solder things on. And I started curling that because it was probably like 10 pounds, but I was 9. So to me, it felt heavy. I started doing little crunches here and there. And this was all in Jamaica because I didn't have any outlet of workout or equipment or anything
How
like
old
that.
were you?
About 9.
9.
Yeah, I left Jamaica when I was almost 12.
Okay.
And then when I got back to the States, the picking on changed.
Okay.
It became more so now I was this island boy. Where you come from? The accent now, and you got off your banana boat.
Yes.
And I was like, what? So I started watching Arnold Schwarzenegger, and when I saw,
that's a way to go.
I saw his physique. I was like, oh, he looks like the superheroes that I, idolize in a sense. And then I saw his story, working out, bodybuilding. So I got into working out. I started reading every magazine I could about how to work out. And my mom went and purchased a bench and got a dumbbell for me. And I started working out with that one dumbbell, doing one arm presses and one arm rows because I was reading from the magazine. And then in high school, I started doing gym class.
Okay.
That gym class, you work out in the gym. And then I ended up getting a gym membership at Gold's Gym. And I started going to Gold's Gym. So I would work out in the morning at school, work out in the evening at Gold's Gym. This was all for me reading the magazines on how to actually work out properly.
So you're a teen now. So my question is, you're vegetarian. So once you came back from Jamaica, because your grandparents are feeding you whatever, because they're like, we don't know about this lifestyle.
The only thing that my mom said, please don't give him any pork.
Okay.
So I've never had pig.
Okay. So when you came back to the States, did you automatically go back to that vegetarian lifestyle?
No.
Oh, so when you were working out and doing that, you were still eating meat.
Yeah, but my workout was more like I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
It was just kind of, I was slowly getting into it.
Okay.
Because by 15, I was working out, but I pretty much had a very high metabolism. I think most of us when
Young
we were
boys.
young. High metabolism, I was always shredded. And people were like, oh, you're so lean. But I was eating, my mom still was feeding us vegetarianish food. Mostly like we would have eggs, what have you. And then I think it was like 18, 19, because 1998, I'll get my age here.
It's all right, you look young. It's
the other day somebody was like, you're 32? Like, dang, thank you. I appreciate that. But anyways.
It's plant-based, right?
Yeah. The minute I started, it's like I went Benjamin Button. It's kind of wild. And anybody I know that once they start, it's like almost they stop aging from that point on. But when I really got hardcore into bodybuilding, that was not until 2009. But for that amount, I had already been vegan from 98. But prior to that, like I said, I just worked out. And I remember going to competitions because I was fascinated with how they look and wanting to look like that. But then I realized, oh, they're taking drugs. I'm not going to do that.
We're going to get into that, but yeah.
And then I didn't do any of the, creatine was around. I was like, no, that's not natural. I want to eat food and work out. And I did that for a long time where not a supplement went in my body. Like I was adamant about thinking that was not natural. When it's not that it's not natural. It's just a supplementation towards what you're already doing. Like giving that a little extra edge.
Yeah.
And so, but that's how I started. I started because of the influence and being picked on and wanting to emulate these superheroes.
Yeah.
And seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger's life story about being a bodybuilder, that pushed me into starting to bodybuild.
So I was looking at pictures on your social media, right? So at that time you said you didn't want to take supplements. Everything is natural, right? And you're eating. And I saw still before and after pictures. You had the locks. You had the Rasta thing going. You were bulked up, but you weren't shredded.
Right.
So when did that now transition start where you're like, I'm going to go into bodybuilding competitions. I'm going to start shredding up. I'm going to get more lean and now be consistent with the type of foods that you're getting. Because I also want you to incorporate the famous question, how do you get your protein? How were you able to get shredded and, not get meat-based protein? So when did that transition happen?
So once I went to college, got my engineering degree. In college, I still worked out. Train people here and there because people ask me all the time to train them because of how I looked. And I then got a job outside of college. Once I graduated, started working in the engineering field. And I remember talking to one of my colleagues from high school, and he said to me, hey, our common friend of ours named Chris is competing. I said, I didn't know he did because I had attended shows a lot, never seen or heard them talk about it. I was like, yeah, he's competing. And I was living in Alabama. So he said he's competing in Atlanta, Georgia. I said, oh, it's only an hour and a half. I'll drive over. So I drove over to watch him compete. When he got on stage, because I didn't catch him anytime prior to that, I saw him on stage. And I was dumbfounded because I thought I looked good. I remember going to Jamaica, because I was going to Jamaica every year, go see my family, hang out. And I remember the yard man would see me, and I just walked, because I was big. You saw the picture. I was bulky. Locks. They were like, oh, here come this brother. And because the gal would just look at me like, ooh.
Who that?
Jamaica, dread. The man have a nice body.
Right.
But so I remember going to his show, and I was like, holy crap. Like his abs, they were just so defined. And he won his show that day. And then I saw him after when he took a shower to wash the tan off. And I was like, damn. I was like, okay.
So you were able to see every cut.
Yeah, I said, I thought I looked good. Because people are like, oh, you look good, you look good. You think you look good, and then you see that, you're like, oh, I look horrible.
I'm slacking.
And so, because you didn't realize how far the body can go.
That point, yeah.
So I said to him, I want to compete. And he was like, but you're vegan. I was like, and? I'm still building muscle. I don't see there's a difference. I never thought there was no problem. But we started training. He started helping me pose. And that was in 2008.
Oh, not
And
too
that was
long
2008. Ago. Then in September, I started to work with him, just going on posing. I was still trying to do my own training and eating what I was supposed to, like eating vegan food. But he was surprised because he said, you're eating bread and like the the deli slices and all that.
Carbs, yeah.
You know, I was like, yeah. He was like, how you look like that? Like, I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
So he would just kind of institute the old way of bodybuilding kind of with my food. Like, don't eat that. Don't eat bread. Eat more rice or something like that. And I was like, okay. So I would just follow that, his way of doing it. And then I did my first show in April 2009.
Did you see a benefit compared to the way you were already eating? Did you see a benefit with adding the rice and the bread?
Well, honestly, I think because of the way my body was at the time, I was eating like 500 grams of carbs. I was eating a lot of carbs.
Okay.
But what I started doing is I just did it based off a portion. It was more, now they call it intuitive, where when I was to get leaner, I just ate less, right? But I still ate whatever and just kept eating less. And then I remember I said, can I chew gum? He was like, no. I was like, I can't chew gum? And I just thought it was weird. Like, what are you talking about? But I was like, all right, I'll follow what you do, you know, because that's what, you're the one that's doing it.
Right.
I've never done it before.
Right.
And I just kept eating less. And the next thing you know, he had me go through a whole water process of, you start at 2 gallons and you keep slowly cutting it. And then by Friday, I was drinking like a liter. And then I got to do the show on Saturday. And it was just very different because it was new to me. I remember being nervous as heck and shaking. And I thought I was up there posing and they were like, Dory, put your head up. I was like, what? You can't hear. You're like, what's going on? Like, and then I got third place.
Wow.
I was like, oh.
So, Tori, question for you. So, what would be the hardest part for you doing that whole transition, you competing at that age? Would you say just the dieting, or would you say it's more of the workout?
The dieting.
Dieting.
Because the workout was fun. I enjoyed working out. Because I would work out and, you know, you want to push yourself as hard as you can.
Absolutely.
And I remember I trained with Chris, and Chris liked to train hard. And I remember he said, all right, grab a weight because we're going to do some standing rows, right? And so I grabbed 60 pounds. Like, all right, we're going to do 60 reps. I was like, what? Like, whatever weight you grab, that's how many reps you're going to do. I was like, oh, come on. I should have grabbed 15.
Right.
But so we trained. That was fun, you know, pushing your body. But it was the caloric deficit that I know now that makes it tougher because that energy is not there anymore. You know, the calories are energy. So the more calories you consume, the more energy you're consuming, the body can use it. And if you're cutting it less and less and less, your body's like, I need to find energy somewhere. Where are we going? And as a natural athlete, I think I'm gonna go to your muscle, get that protein, turn that protein into energy. And then next thing you know, you look a little more wasted. So it's like it's more scientifically involved in order to keep that as much muscle as possible when you're doing it naturally. So,
but did you ever come down to a point where you're like, I don't think I could do this, man. Like at a low calorie deficit. I mean, where you like a couple of weeks out and you just like, I'm working on maybe 120 grams of carbs or whatever. If you even went that low, I don't know. To the point you're like, I don't think I could do this anymore.
In my beginning part, never, because I was so high carbs that they were like, how you do that? Like, I was always happy, excited to get on stage. Even after the first time when I got third place, it motivated me. I was like, I want to come back and get second. That's all I was thinking about. Let me come back and get second. I was married at the time. And so I remember my wife was like, you know, watched me go through that process. And she saw other people up there, 66-year-old woman with abs. And she was like, well, shoot, I should do this too. So the next show, because I asked the judges what happened, why I got third, you know, feedback. And he was like, well, you know, because I saw the second place guy. I was like, I know I look better than him. But he said he stayed on his posing. I was like tired and dying. And he said he stayed on his wheels. Basically, he flexed his legs the entire time, standing in a relaxed position. We call it relaxed, but you're still flexed. And I was like, okay. And I practiced that. So when I came back like 3 months later for the second show, same organization, my goal was just to get second, just to be better. And I got up there, and my class was actually larger this time. But I looked better. I felt I looked better. And I ended up winning it. And so I won my class, and I was like, oh shit, I wanted second. I got first.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, now you got to do the overall against all the middleweight, heavyweight, whatever. And I was like, oh, I got to do that now? And so it was only 3 of us, so 3 different classes. So I went up against them and I ended up winning that too and got a pro card. That was my second show ever.
Yes.
And I think that's inspiring for someone that does believe that, okay, I could only enter these competitions or only have this lifestyle based on, meat. So again, for someone who's going to watch this episode and has no idea, right? Because some other people may know where to get protein from, but from your own words, where can individuals get protein off of a plant-based diet and still be able to shred and bulk up?
Well, that's the thing that's kind of on the most individualizes it. Mm-hmm. Everybody's different, right? When I say different is, I can't tell you what I'm eat and what I eat every day, and you do the same thing and get the same result. Mm-hmm. You might get a totally different result. And you're like, wait a second, it didn't work for me. Mm-hmm. That's because you're not me. It's just how my body metabolizes carbohydrates and protein and fats and what have you. Like I said, throughout 2009 to 2016, I was high carbs constantly because I did it intuitive. I didn't track it. And when I did track, I found out my protein intake was like 50 to 100 grams per day. But I was eating like mainly tofu. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I started eating a lot of Ezekiel bread. Mm-hmm. I did Japanese sweet potatoes once I found them. I was like, Japanese sweet potatoes, oh, these suckers is the bomb. Yeah. I did rice. I did tempeh, and the deli slices. Because even though they also tasted very good. So it was like, and I would eat salads. And so I remember always bringing my lunch to work, and people used to like, "What are you eating?" They were just amazed because they saw how I looked. And then they started asking questions like, man, you competing? And next thing you know, I'm starting to do well. And I remember getting backstage, and I was always about covering up. So I'd be backstage and just before I get on stage, I take off my clothes, and everybody's like, damn. Mm-hmm. Like, and then they found out, oh, he's vegan? Like, how are you vegan?
It's a surprise, yeah.
And now they're like, dude, I'm eating chicken and asparagus all day. Tired of it. Yeah. I need to talk to you. How are we going to... I want to look like that without having to do that all the time, But at the time, the most prevalent form of protein was tofu. And now, mind you, 99.9% of veggies and fruits have protein. Mm-hmm. It's just the quality and the amount. Okay. Because you can look at a medium-sized watermelon and with the seeds in it and everything, it has about 30 grams of protein. But that's the entire thing. But people don't think that. They're like, no, not at all. They just think of watermelon, ooh, for refreshing fruit. Yeah. I just want to satisfy my electrolyte balance and give me some energy. Yeah. But not recognizing that it does have protein, And that's the thing, I think that's the misconception, is that protein is only in animals or tofu, tempeh, seitan.
Correct, because speaking to a trainer, because I was looking to lose weight as well, and I spoke to a trainer, and Kirby, my cousin, was like, you should have came and spoke to me first. So, but his thing was high protein, low carb diet, right? And the high protein is a lot of meat, a lot of dairy, anything that has come from an animal. Right. And when I told them, like, look, yes, I'm a meat eater, but I want to transition back into veganism because I was vegan for 9 years. Right. And I said, you know what? I got back into the meat. I could see what it has done to my body. I want to go back. So is there a way that I could slowly transition into eating plant-based protein? What he said was, yeah, you could do that, but you're not going to get the same results because plant-based protein is not the same as meat-based protein. You'll get more results with meat-based protein. So during that diet, although I wanted to eat tofu or other things like that, he already implemented in my mind that, well, you're not going to get the results that you want. But now you're saying there's no difference. Protein is protein.
Right. When I did the shows and I would win or place second, and I would talk to the judges, and they're like, bro, I don't know what to tell you. You look amazing. We wish we had a different category because that's just my frame. Mm-hmm. I would possibly be smaller than the winner, size-wise, I may have had a more complete physique, but they were looking at how much more muscle. And plus, the guy that I was always going back and forth with, he was like a well-known athlete, and so it was hard to beat him. You had to like blow him out the water, even though I think I did a couple times.
Okay.
And one time he knew it, but he still won. They said, they would jokingly say, "Oh, maybe you need to have eat some meat. You'll be good." But they already knew that was a joke because of how well I've been placing without it.
Okay.
So it actually helped put the vegan lifestyle on the map in bodybuilding, because people didn't think it was possible. They didn't think you could be that shredded with all those carbs and continuously build muscle with all those carbs too.
Yeah.
Because there is, yes, a lot more carbs in the plant-based world.
Yeah.
But there is protein there as well, and it's just nutrition. It's not necessarily I have to get protein from beef. It's just get in the protein that you need, your body requires, and the high protein, low carb lifestyle has, I guess, given so much results that people assume that's what you
the
have
best
to
way.
do.
Yeah.
Right? Which is, I get it, because the results have shown a lot of people do well on it. But people do well on keto, and then people do well on a high carb, So, and I did that for a long time, to the point where I remember when a guy that was helping my wife at the time compete, he did her that way, low carbs, high protein, and he was like, "We got low carb, high protein over here, and low protein, high carb over here," talking about me. And the way I looked was he was just like baffled, like, "Wow." You're so shredded and still holding well.
Right.
And I didn't even do the whole now thing where people carb up. I didn't do that.
Okay.
I basically just kept my carbs the same pretty much, and it just dropped as I was. But I think that's why I always had so much energy. Like you were saying, you were asking.
Right.
People were always like, "Dude, are you competing?" I'm like, "Yeah, tomorrow." And I'm like, "You don't seem dead and like ready to eat." I was just, because I had so much high carbs in me, my body responded to that. And so but I also enjoyed the process. So it was different because I enjoyed the process. Now I enjoy it to the point where I love how I look.
Yeah.
As I'm getting close to the stage.
Okay.
So that keeps me motivated to always to get to that, even further than I look right now. So it's like I want to be even more shredded, more lean. But then I had to hire a coach.
Tori, come on. Like, how much more shredded do you want?
Dude. Come on.
I'm looking at it, I'm like, come on.
Well, that's why I actually had to hire somebody to help
Okay.
me out, because I had to, that body dysmorphia, like, I wanted to be leaner.
I gotta do more.
And he was like, "Nah, it just have to be complete."
Yes.
I had to realize that, okay, it's not just being shredded, because that's one thing they said, you always have conditioning. You just need to be bigger. And so now I needed to balance out, okay, I can have the size and be conditioned. But of course, once I stepped into the world of where there's no testing, it was different, because they are gonna beat me out on size, because what they're taking is enhancing the muscle protein synthesis, to where they build muscle like 30, they'll gain 30 pounds in 3 months.
Are you talking about like different supplements or like drugs?
Drugs.
So I want to talk about that too. Like, how often do you see that in the body? I mean, we know it to be true in the bodybuilding world, but how often did you see it? And did you find that certain people would maybe look at you sideways, like, man, this man is able to get this type of physique and not have to tap into that? And on top of that, he's vegan. He's not even eating meat. Like, what was that dynamic, knowing that other bodybuilders were taking drugs?
Oh, well, the thing is, the bodybuilders know that I'm natural. Actually, I can't say that, because there's a few that say, "Yeah, I just thought you were using." I was like, "Really?" That was like a compliment, because I get it when the average gym goer, "Oh, he's definitely using drugs. There's no way he can look like that. You see his shoulders, they're 3D, and his chest nipples and his vein. Oh, he's using." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." But thank you very much, because that just shows that all what I'm doing works. But I never really had, I can't even say that it's easy to tell because you don't see people taking it. Like,
Okay.
I've never seen anybody take it.
Okay.
Because there's different ways to take it. You can get the
shots,
inject it, or you can do it orally. And I think the orally is not as effective as taking the shot
shots.
because it gets directly to the system. I think orally you got to digest it and all that. But from what I know, because I didn't know what they were called until I really moved here, where people were, because I started coaching and working with people, and they said, man, you're like the only coach that doesn't really push it. I mean, I didn't push it at all because I don't know how to even use that. You know, I wouldn't even know what to tell you to start doing.
Right.
You know,
right.
so it was really nothing I was really involved in because I never had a clue about it. I didn't know that there was. I just thought it was all called steroids, but there's so many things that there's out there that do different things.
Yeah.
So remember the time that you got third place? Was it third place or second place?
Third place was the first time I got it.
And I'm the same thing with me. Sometimes size matters in this like bodybuilding show. Have you ever thought like, man, how would it be? Right, just a thought. If I just hop on gear. Right? Like, you know what? It will be walking the book. But I'm pretty sure just, you know, the pride and the hard work that you put in, just basically saying, hey, listen, man, I'm going to do this my way.
Right.
Because sometimes one thing that gets me is basically when like, man, it's genetics. Right? I'm like, what do you mean it's genetics? You still got to work hard.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm pretty sure you get that a lot sometimes when you're so dense, right? And you see other guys that's been training for years and that still just can't get to where you're at.
Yes.
So that's been an issue, man. Like lately, even for myself, sometimes, like you said, the general pop at the gym, whatever, right? But somebody that you compete against say, hey, man, you on it and you're not. Damn right, is a compliment.
Yeah.
It's big. It's big.
Because it was actually a coach, and he just said, I just assumed you were. And I was like, really? Like, damn, bro. Because he helps people with it to still do it vegan and natural, and I'm still putting on size, still able to build.
That's the thing, yeah.
You know, so, and I think it still baffles people because most people don't really use me as a comparison because when people tag me, they're like, well, he's using drugs. That's all they can say. They can't say anything else because based on what they may want to accomplish or whoever they have as a person that they look up to or are influenced by, I kind of look like that.
Yeah.
You know, I may be a little smaller, but I even had one of the large Instagram guys say, man, you're like the epitome of natural. You know,
wow.
I was like, I was pretty surprised he actually said that.
Yeah.
Because it was the post I just commented on and somebody like, huh.
We hear it all the time though, right? Because I think it's phenomenal that now you're, for lack of better terms, the poster child, you know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
For veganism and natural and bodybuilding. Because for us, I don't think we think about it. We just go with the flow of what we've been told, right? Like it's not possible for us to not be built or for us to not be shredded without this certain type of lifestyle or dietary lifestyle. For us, we have to understand that if we're going to Rastafarian, if we're going biblical, the natural original diet was plant-based, you know what I mean? And people were still able to function in that type of lifestyle. So now that you've been in bodybuilding competitions and so forth, and then Kirby was asking you, were you ever tempted? But did you now start taking any type of natural supplements?
Yeah, so back to what he said about being tempted, because I looked at it as, just to keep going on with that question real quick, is if I did, they wouldn't be ready for me.
No.
Because then they'd be like,
imagine.
Damn.
Right.
Because already the way my genetics are now, if I were to do it properly and I guess they say a little bit at a time, because a lot of guys start out taking too much just because they want to get there.
Yeah.
You know, if I guess did it the right way, I would be a phenom in a sense. So, but that's that. But of course, I love my body too much to want to put it into that. You don't know what's gonna happen to you, as far as that is concerned, because everybody's gonna have a different reaction, But now back to the other one, what you were saying. Go say that one more time. The question.
Are there any natural supplements that now you're tapping
into? In 2000, I think it was 2016. I started incorporating because I hired a coach. So, and he had me do that way, where higher protein, because he had met me a long time ago in Montgomery, Alabama. I was competing, and he had a guy on the show, and it was like 20 guys. These are all well-known guys, and I went to do the show, and I remember going backstage like, damn, and everybody's big.
Yeah.
And I was excited. Nobody else was excited. You know, they were all like dead because, you know, low carbs. And I was like, let's all have fun, guys. Let's do it. Let's do this thing. You know, I'm just enjoying myself.
Yeah.
I ended up got third place. It was like a large platform of guys. And I beat his guy, and he remembers hearing me talk backstage saying, it's like, man, I don't know what carb up is. I eat a lot of carbs, and then I just get ready for my show. And he was just like, man, that guy has a great physique. And he doesn't even do what most everybody else does. And the people are like, you don't take aminos? I was like, no. They're like, imagine if you did. I was like, I guess, you know, I didn't want to. I didn't want to take amino acids. I didn't want to take creatine. I didn't want to do protein shakes. I like to eat. I was like, I don't want to drink it. I want to eat it.
Yeah.
So then I started incorporating because once I hired him, I was like, I'll just follow what he says, whatever.
Okay.
And he increased my protein so high. I was like, damn, I'm gonna eat.
So what? Okay, when he increased your protein that high, what was your typical day like? Even though we understand everybody's different, what works for them is different. But for you specifically, when that high protein was now in place, what did your typical day look like?
I added about 2 to 3 protein shakes.
Okay.
You know, which is about 30 grams per each.
Okay.
So that's already, 90?
Okay.
And then tofu, seitan, tempeh to fill in the other places.
Okay.
And, you know, and I loved oatmeal also. Loved Japanese sweet potatoes, like I said. I loved asparagus, even though I know it was like a natural diuretic. Because that's what we would use as being natural athletes to kind of cut off some of the subcutaneous water so you can appear more defined on stage. And so those are the things I tended to do that for the entire time. And I think he was amazed too, because he had never worked with a vegan. And so he was like, wow. He's like, he's like, you look great.
Yeah.
And then we ended up getting our pro card into IFBB Pro in 2018.
Okay.
You know, I only did like 4 shows, but I did them a few by myself because I was still winning and doing well the same way I was doing it.
Yeah.
And once I incorporated, excuse me, him, it's just like I think the shift and the higher protein, lower carbs as we get closer to the show. But then he does a different thing where the week of the show, you rapidly increase it.
Okay.
You know, my carbs, my
Yeah.
carb intake, and I think I saw him do this process with another gentleman who's also natural. Who everybody swears he's using drugs, but he's huge. He looks good, and he was killing it. And I remember watching one of his posts, and he said, "I'm eating like 10,000 calories or more." And he's like my height.
Really?
But the dude looked amazing because when you get so lean and you start incorporating the food back in a structured manner, it goes directly to the muscle and it just fills you out and fills you out and fills you out to where your skin looks like it's about to pop but it's all muscle.
Okay.
You know, and then, but the downside is the next day, you don't look as good because you've eaten all you could and now it's digested fully, and you may have held some water, but that's the next day.
Okay.
The day of the show, you look crazy because it just fills in the muscles.
Okay.
You know, because your metabolism now has to catch up to. Okay, we just ate a lot of food. We weren't prepared for that because we have been going so down. But and that's something I learned later on. But you know, that was my typical. And I didn't mind adding in the protein shakes, and because I just wanted to follow what he asked me to do.
Saying.
And it did well because then he said, you know, add some creatine, and I started doing a little bit of amino acids because I started to realize that everything has its purpose.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can't just say it's not, people shouldn't do it, you know, because it's kind of like learning about it before you knock it.
Okay.
Because people knock something they've never even done.
Right.
You know, it's like, this person's doing that. Oh, I don't want to do that. Don't knock it until you give it a shot. You know what it's about. You know, and I think in this day and age, a lot of people don't take their own time to really look into something. They just listen to what someone says versus, hey, let me go look into it too for myself and see if it works for me.
Right.
You know, and it may or may not. You know, so that doesn't mean it does not work. And
That's
so
true.
even
That's
now, when I'm not competing, I don't drink shakes as much.
Okay.
You know, creatine is the thing that I guess is advantageous for almost everybody because, you know, it's helpful in recovery and building strength and what have you.
So the creatine, are you able to find it in those vegan
Yeah,
protein
creatine
shakes?
is basically vegan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
I wasn't sure. Yeah.
it's prevalent in the body anyway,
Okay.
but it's just an additional. It's like a little percentage of help.
Okay.
You know, especially as a natural athlete.
Okay.
You know, and so anything we can do to help ourselves gain size, because it's going to take us longer, you know, to put on muscle mass versus someone who's using a performance enhancing drug to get them there.
So for women, right? For a long time, women stayed away
I know.
from
And now
building. Now it's a thing, right? Now we stay away from the treadmills like we were talking about, and now we go to the weightlifting section. So how can we take away the misconceptions? Because I want to talk about that, right? The misconceptions that if I want to take these protein shakes with creatine and I'm doing weight training, am I now going to bulk up, or mainly am I going to see more thickness in my thighs? Or because, you know, we always want to do the bigger booty, the bigger hips, bigger thighs, without making it seem, quote unquote, that I'm having a man figure.
Right.
Like,
and it's so strange because but that's another thing that's almost genetic. Like some women can put on muscle very fast, upper body, and then some don't. You know, and they can lift exactly the same, but it's just who is predisposed based on what they've done all their life. Like I have one of my good friends and clients. She used to ride horses and direct horses for a long time, and she's a stunt woman. When she started training for her show, her shoulders were just like, wow. And everybody was like, damn.
yeah.
But she was predisposed to what she's always done throughout her life to have more dense muscle in her shoulders and just look amazing. Whereas someone else could continue to train like that just as she did, but they wouldn't get her shoulders. Based on, it's all depends on where their muscle sits the most. Those
Okay.
areas pop more. You know,
Okay.
so I mean, yours may be your upper body,
Okay.
and you just have to tone down on that as far as how you're lifting. But you're never gonna really get as bulky as a man because you don't have the testosterone that
Okay.
we do. You know,
Okay.
the balance of estrogen and testosterone that we do.
Okay.
Unless you start taking testosterone, and I think that's what happens when you see those women. You're like, man,
I was about to ask, so those women that we see as bodybuilders that kind
they're
of
taking,
they're taking testosterone.
absolutely.
and and like I said, not just testosterone. There's so many other things out there that
Right.
gives you that look.
Okay.
So they have to. And of course, I have a friend in Alabama. When she started taking, it's crazy because she looked so good before. Good in the sense that she was very still feminine, and once she started taking the drugs, the side effects, her voice started changing. And she said she was kind of mad about it, but she slowed down.
Okay.
But with women, when it happens, it's no reversing it. It's like done.
Really?
Yeah. Like you might as well just continue.
So you can't now take estrogen to try to reverse
The voice
it?
is not going to go away. Definitely not the voice. Here's the thing that's very kind of scary. The clit grows.
Well, okay. Well,
It grows a lot.
well, here's the thing though, right? Because I did a sexual season on the podcast and understanding the female's anatomy, right? Not understanding, and sorry audience if we're gonna get graphic, but hey, that the clit is not only outwardly, it's also inwardly, and we didn't know that. But when we think about it, some people say that our clit is just a penis that never grew, right? That's what I've heard, that it's just we have the clit and then we have the vagina opening or the canal, but the men have the penis that actually went and grew it out. So you saying that makes sense, where you're like, now she took testosterone, now the clit is now growing into what a penis would look like. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then some of them get the hair loss, some don't. You know, and other things that will give them manly features. And like it never goes away. Now they have it, you know, and that's what the research has shown, that it's not reversible.
That is wild. That's really, really wild. So again, we're discovering. I did not know that at all. So with you coaching individuals now, without giving away too much, because we do want to direct my audience to things that you do as coaching and stuff like that. But what is your typical day like for a man versus a woman, or is it similar? Like your coaching,
It's
like,
similar, but it's also different because a lot of my men tend to be older. When I say older, like 50 and up,
okay,
as high as 80, right? And so their mobility is different, and they're looking just to stay healthy, physical wise. And because most of the time, as they're older, they're not eating as much anyway. And so I'm not there helping them with their nutrition unless they want me to.
okay,
But most part, I'm more so helping them with the physical aspects of training, just to
Okay.
kind of keep themselves able to move up and down. So we're doing things that are not so much overhead, depending on if their body can handle it. They're doing a lot more squatting, benching, things of that. Man, basically workout. But the rep ranges are more along the lines of higher to have less impact on their joints.
okay,
Because the heavy weight can affect their joints, and their tendons aren't as strong, and they can tend to have more injuries. So my goal is to kind of prevent injury, just make them stronger.
okay,
And I've seen that happen. I've had guys come to me that are 57 years old and say, "Man, I have a problem here in my tendon, in my elbow," and I figured, I'll just have the surgery because if it continues to flare up. But since we've been training for the last 3 years, he's never had a problem. And now he's like, "Man, I thought I was going to come and start working out and just eventually go get the surgery done." But we've never had an issue. And
Okay.
now he feels stronger and feels better because he said in the past when he started working out, he would get injury. And it was just more of directing his positioning, because a lot of
Yes.
times it's the tweaks of, how people are doing their technique. And so once I can kind of correct your technique, because everybody has the way of looking at it. I tend to look at it from an engineering perspective because of my engineering background.
okay.
It's like I want to re-engineer the body to the way you want it to be.
I like
And so that's
that.
how I look at it. It's like
Okay.
disassemble it and reassemble it. So I think about transformers.
Mm-hmm.
So then when it comes to the women, they tend to really want to work on. I at one point was called the butt man because I would help girls.
That's the thing now, yeah.
And it was crazy because I just was really good at helping build glutes.
Okay.
Working in different ways. When it comes to training, and I never thought that moniker would stick to me, but a lot of people started doing it. A lot of people would come to me. I remember having people contact me from other states, like, "I'm coming to Miami, I would love to train with you." I was like, okay, but
one training session is not gonna
yeah,
do
but
it.
it's also that social media thing. Like,
Okay.
I'm training with Tori.
Yeah.
So whatever, and I tend to do with women now overall. Like now I have competitors that compete, so now they train like everybody train. Like how competitors train hard. We lift. We do vary the rep ranges from 3 to 30. So 3 reps or 30 reps, depending on the week.
Okay.
Because we wanna have linear progression, but we also wanna in every manner of saying, like, if we're doing 5 to 10 reps, you're going heavier the next time you do it, or 30 reps, you're doing, you're going heavier doing that, or whatever, and just moderately increasing the rep ranges with the weight, getting it to a point where they're seeing progress, and working on their weak areas, and so the weak areas when it comes to competition, it's all about physical. The judges aren't asking you for your weight or your height on stage. They're just looking at your physique and see how you are compared to this person, and
Okay.
seeing who has the least amount of deficiencies in their physique, who has the most complete look.
Okay.
That's how objectively it's supposed to be. But as we know, it's subjective.
Okay.
Because I judge like, "Ooh, I like that look better," and this guy was like, "No, I like that look better." Then they talk,
okay.
and if the head judge says, "I like this one more," okay, we're gonna follow the head judge.
I see.
Whereas I
see.
saw something that made a lot of sense. If the judges were all in their own panel, where they couldn't confer with each other and had to choose who they like, then it should come to a consensus. Like, oh, I was like, man, that would be too much like right, because then even if it is subjective to each judge, they couldn't be influenced by another judge.
Right.
It's just, this is what I like.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember the show I did last year in November, 4 judges said I had you winning. It was only 7, but I got 4th.
Okay. So 4 out of 7 was like, it was you.
Yeah.
And then the other 3, because they were head judges.
One could have been a head judge. And I remember the head judge clapping after my routine.
Mm-hmm.
Who does that? Only when they like, yeah. Like I turned around, they were like, wow.
And then you still got 4th.
Yeah, I was like, what? Because I was compared to the first place guy, and the place was going crazy, like calling my name.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this might be it.
Yeah.
I'm about to go to the Olympia.
Yeah. No.
4th. And then I looked at the video, I was like, dang.
So when they see you, do they know that you're vegan?
I think now it's kind of known.
Just
now.
known? Because I wonder, is there a
I thought about that
bias?
too, and I was like, maybe I don't want to say that, but
Yeah.
I think sometimes, will it look bad for those companies that aren't,
Yeah.
that push their athletes, and then this guy comes and beats all of them? It's like, wait a second,
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about that too, and I was like, man, but so that's why I really do it for me. I enjoy it to see myself improve
Yeah.
every time, and it's just because I even had some guys say, man, I respect, dude. You're up there banging it with us. And, you're natural and you're vegan, and you're still up there.
Yeah.
And then I remember one time I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna do the masters." They're like, "Yeah, right, masters." I was like,
What is the master?
Masters means over 35.
Okay.
They didn't believe I was masters. They were like,
Over
There's-
35 age or over 30?
Age.
Okay. Uh-huh.
so a lot of people didn't think I was. They're like, "You're not masters."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I am, bro. I'm like way up there.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
What? So even that, and I think sometimes when they find out too, like, oh, because they want to keep the younger guys involved. So if the older guy wins, it's like, no, we gotta. And I get it. The
Yeah.
sport will continue with the younger.
Yeah.
Well, as with anything, you want the younger crowd in, so
Yeah.
you can continue to grow it. Because if you stick with the same people all the time,
Right.
people get, bored.
Yeah.
So I get that. But,
Exactly.
Still objectively sound, a complete physique over just the company, who he is, his social media presence, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Understood. What was your experience like, Kirby, when you were doing it in comparison
Man,
to what Tori was talking about?
Very similar. First bodybuilding show ever. So I'm going there in the background of I was an athlete before, bro. So all I was hearing is shows are win by back.
Yeah.
I never did back. I can't see my back, so I never did it. I didn't care for it. So my coach, Eli, thank you for that, by the way. Appreciate you. He really helped shape me and make me understand the progression of programming to bodybuilding, right? Carbing up and at the same time tracking my macros.
Right.
Never understood how to did that either.
Right.
So this was the first time I actually understand, man, how can I get that much carbs in my body without force feeding, right? I didn't go the same route he did. That's why it's vegan. I was getting chicken, ground turkey, ground beef for some fat. So I'm just trying to carb as much as I can. But at that show, as far as posing was very important. Another thing I'm not familiar with. So I had to really learn how to pose. Because when I went there, I was conditioned. Very similar to you. I was the most conditioned one in my class for sure. But size win. IFBB Pro, you know how that goes.
Yeah.
Right? It's an open show. Overall, these guys are on it. So I took my division, and overall, I went against a guy. His back was just massive, dude. Massive. And I wasn't big enough. So I ended up getting third place in that show.
In the overall? Or?
Overall.
Okay, but you won your class.
I won my class.
Oh, nice.
Right.
And that was your first show?
First show.
You did bodybuilding or physique?
Men's physique.
Oh, yeah, men's physique. Okay.
Men's physique. So,
You did NPC?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
dang,
Jersey,
see.
man.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So
okay. Jersey, that's where I got my pro card.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you going against some monsters.
Yeah, man.
So so when I hear you just speak about just the Japanese potatoes, let's get back on that. I need to know how much protein is in that thing, man.
Well, and I did that as more for carbs.
Carbs.
Potatoes have protein, but it's not that much.
Right.
But it's I like sweets.
Okay.
right? And Japanese sweet potatoes are like candy.
Really?
They're totally different than a regular sweet potato. They're not stringy, and they have the texture of a regular yellow Yukon potato,
Is it sweeter?
but it's sweet. So when you bake them, woo,
Really?
they're so good.
Wow, because that's what I was kind of curious about. As far as I'm like, how is it getting that much carbs, and just plant based, and how many grams of carbs are you getting, right? Because the only thing I'm looking at also is the calorie. It's gonna be really low. It's plant based, but now so cutting for you, which makes sense, wasn't that difficult.
No,
Because you walk around like maybe 8-10% body fat, maybe.
Correct.
Right. So when you're
Y'all
like, okay,
just showing off
cut the
now.
water cut, it was like, I'm good.
And that's another thing too. So now understanding the science of it, I don't cut water anymore. And so people are like, you don't cut water? How much you
don't
drinking?
need
I was
to.
like, no, I'm drinking 2 gallons.
Please explain that to me, because I want to talk about that also, because that was another thing the trainer told me. Stay away from water.
Really?
Dude,
I kid you not. Stay away from water. Not like in totality, but like, again, instilling in the mind, every 16 ounce you drink, that's a pound. Every water you drink, that's a
Wow.
pound. So for me,
We
I'm
just train
thinking,
it so we can put them
listen,
on. Like this person.
I don't want to get sued
No, I'm
or
just
whatever,
joking.
Right.
but in the sense of like, don't drink a lot of water. But in the meantime, my body is feeling dehydrated.
Yeah,
I'm getting
that's not good for your
headaches.
kidneys and
It's
all.
not good for your kidneys or whatever. But you are saying the same thing, that there was a point that mentality was out there of don't drink water
Yeah,
because of water rate. But you're saying right now that you've steered away from that.
So, and I forgot how long ago it was, but even when I had my coach, he has guys drinking 3 gallons, right? So I would do 2 gallons starting on 2 weeks prior, 2 weeks, a week out from the show. And I stayed drinking 2 gallons. I never stopped. And it was amazing to see how the body changed, because your body starts to say, oh, we're getting enough water in. I don't need to hold on to any. Let me release it all. So it just starts releasing water, and you start to look leaner and leaner and leaner and leaner. And I remember doing this with my clients for the first time, and they were just baffled, like, that's too much water. I don't want to drink all of that.
Yeah.
3 days later, like, oh, wow. Like, I'm looking lean.
So your body adjusts to that amount of water.
Your
So
body's super intelligent.
that's what I'm saying. So there shouldn't be a fear of like, well, if I drink too much water, I'm gonna keep holding body weight. I'm gonna look bloated. Because I wonder if it's different for women. Because we deal with a lot with bloating already. But if you're saying eventually the body will release what
Right.
it doesn't need, and then our body is hydrated, our kidneys are getting what it needs, oxygen is flowing through our body. You're saying eventually we'll start to see the leanness happen.
And I even noticed that with clients that don't compete. And I say, how much water are you drinking? And I'll tell them, like, that's it? I say, you got to increase your water intake. And once they start doing it, they notice that their body starts to lose weight, because they weren't staying hydrated enough, and the body just retains it, because your body needs water in order to move nutrients through the
Exactly.
helps digestion, do different
Exactly.
super cooling of your system.
Yeah.
It does a lot of processes, and it assists with a lot of processes in the body. So without it, your body will go into, I guess it's not even a shock, but it's more like a.
It felt like a shock to me.
Yeah,
I kid you not.
So that shock causes cortisol to rise. You retain water, and all these different things happen, and you don't know what's going on until you say, "Oh, I need to create a sense of homeostasis within my body, sense of balance." And that's for everybody that's different.
Yeah.
So of course, the average sedentary person should be drinking about 2.2 liters. That's average sedentary. You're not really active, because you lose a lot of water. Like, we're losing water now talking.
Yeah.
Because it's just perspiration and as we go through our day. So it's just keeping your body hydrated. And there's a lot of other ways, fruit, coconut water, things like that, to also stay hydrated as well.
Yeah.
But it was just, I was amazed at that. And so now that's all I do, so I
glad
put
you
everybody on
mentioned
that. And everybody has seen results on that.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that it doesn't work, because even the other way does work. It's just harder on your system, because you're cutting water out. And I've seen guys backstage
it's tough.
almost die, because they're like, I can't drink anything. I'm like, who told you that? They're like, I'm not supposed to drink anything. I just got to eat. I was like, wow. I mean, and some of them look super shredded,
Yeah.
but they're not happy.
Yeah.
They're like angry and don't want to talk.
Yeah.
And then they're seeing me eat and drink water, like, you're still drinking water backstage? Like, yeah. I'm not drinking 2 gallons
Right.
backstage, but I'm still drinking.
Yeah, you're still
I drink like
hydrating.
12 ounces with each meal.
Yeah.
And it's because your body's used to it.
Yeah.
You know, and then you switch things up at the last minute, it's going to go into like, what is going on? And then the next day, that's why what tend to happen is a lot of guys, they look better after the show. Because they drink water and ate food that night after the show. Next day, they're like, damn, I should look like this yesterday.
That refill.
It's like, that's what you should have been doing. But
Understood.
you decided to change. You were scared.
Yeah.
And that happened to me. The first show I did in, what was it? In Musclemania. I did Musclemania in 2011. And it was a bigger show than all the organizations that I was used to doing. And so I was like, okay, let me do this one. And I remember we ran into an IFBB pro, which was a friend of mine. Now, he's a friend of mine's coach at the time. And he saw me and I was so lean. He was like, yo, he's Jamaican. Torre, you just need to eat, man. Just eat.
Yeah.
I was like, no, what are you talking about? I like this look. If I eat, he was like, you're not going to gain no fat in a week, man. You need, tell him to eat.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. I got third, but people were like, you should have won anyway because it's just my conditioning.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the right oil on. I even saw the pictures. I was like, wow, I look skinny. But anyways, the guy that won, I think he looked good. You know, the next day, because that night after my third place, somebody she brought like Jamaican food for me, like, but it was all vegan.
Yeah.
And I drank Malta and water, and I was eating all night. And then the next day I woke up like, damn.
This is how you should have looked.
We're like, if I came to the show like this, I would have won. They were like,
Yeah.
yo, what the hell? It's like,
how
he
does
was
that
right. We
work?
should have ate.
How does that work scientifically? Like just the next morning, your body already looks different.
That sleep is the best thing on earth for the body.
Okay.
That recovery and that rest, because you're horizontal. Think about it. It's like meditation. Someone said it's meditation because you're just breathing. Your mind is still. Everything's still. So the body has the opportunity to just fix itself. And so all that food that it wasn't having goes in and it just absorbs it all and puts it where it needs to be.
Within a night.
And you wake up and you look. That's why as you get close to the show, rest is the most important part. Like you gotta rest. And then when you sleep, you lose fat. It helps speed up the process of burning
I've
fat.
heard of that.
So I woke up like, wow, filled out, muscles look bigger, had more vascularity. Because I get vascular easy in the sun. But, backstage is cold. I'm like freezing.
I remember you said that. Yeah.
I'm like in a jacket. Like it's cold in here to me
Yeah.
right now. So I put this on. So I'm always like this. And so when I have the warmth, but anyways, it just filled me out and I looked so good. And I was like, oh. But then my process changed. Now that's what I do. So usually after a show, I look worse the next day now because we've fixed the process to where I can look good the day of.
Okay. Understood. So to kind of wrap things up, because we've said a good amount of stuff, what would be your advice for individuals that maybe hear this episode and it's like, I want to consider veganism. I want to consider plant-based. How would you encourage them to transition into this lifestyle while still being able to build muscle mass and look shredded and so forth? Because just without, let's say, working out or trying to build muscle, for some people transitioning into veganism could be tough. You know what I mean? So it's just like, how do I do this? What do I eat? How do I supplement this for that? So what would be your advice for individuals that want to do that?
I think that's where I used to get that question a lot, right? And I used to be like, I don't know. Mine was like a light switch. I was like, flip, vegan. That was it. But I know for someone else, they're like, oh, scared. Thinking I'm going to lose weight, lose muscle, get fat or whatever.
Yes.
It's as simple as, first of all, it's a mindset, right? That's the most important aspect. I think people forget how powerful the mind is. Whatever comes through here, your body will actually follow. So if you tell yourself it's complicated, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough and complicated. Whatever you tell yourself, it's how it's going to be. So first of all, you have to mention here, because thoughts becomes things. It has to start as a thought, then become the word, then you have to act on it. And then it manifests into however you want it to be. So almost it's as simple as one meal a day. And don't look at it as, how do I switch this for this? Because then I drive you crazy. Like, I want to have this chicken I normally have chicken and this. Okay, how can I complement that? It's you have to look at it as from a more of a macronutrient. Because if you look at it from more of a macronutrient, you can find out what things within the plant-based world
Break
can
down
fit that.
macronutrients.
Well, you
Why
know,
you
like
saying
your
that?
protein, your carbs,
Okay.
and your fats.
Okay.
Those are the three big ones. That's why they call them macros. And then
Okay.
the micronutrients is all the small vitamins and minerals that the body needs that we need to also include in our nutritional intake, which I think we could tend to forget. But, you know, without those, the body wouldn't operate efficiently. You know, we focus on the macros because those are the I guess the largest ones that tend to impact the way we look physically from the
Okay.
outside. And of course, body fat, things of that nature.
Okay.
And like I said, everybody's different. Some people may work off of higher fat intake, lower carb, lower protein, lower carb. It depends. It just depends on what works for you. You have to troubleshoot that. And that's why sometimes the vegan lifestyle works, because people, another thing is we forget is people don't get enough fiber in.
That part.
And the
Yep.
fiber leads to all these colon problems that people tend to have. You know, I had an aunt that passed away because her colon burst on her one day. You know, and that's the thing. We eat so much meat and this and that and the other, and we're not thinking about, okay, how often am I cleaning out that system?
So, question: what would be? And I'm going somewhere with this. What would be the top 2 places you would say we would get fiber?
Fruits and veggies.
Fruits and veggies. I was told to stay away from fruits.
And that's so crazy. I hear that too.
Yeah, yo, I'm tight. That's why I'm kind of like saying all this. I was also told to stay away from fruits. The only thing I could eat was berries because of the antioxidants, but every other fruit because it was said that it was high in carb, so I should not be eating fruits.
But the fiber is there.
Yeah,
And the fiber helps to allow not to have that shock, because it's the fiber helps to slow down the process, the production. So it's crazy.
yeah,
You know, because you don't typically hear people say, I have a friend of mine, John Badass Vegan, he'll say he has, you know, you're not having a hospital filled with people that said they ate too much fruit. They're not in there, oh, I ate too much fruit. I'm in
Right.
the hospital. No,
Right.
it's typically the other way around.
yeah.
Like, why are you here? Oh, congestive heart failure. What were you eating? And then the doctor finds out, it's like, okay, we need to cut out red meat. Why do they always tell you cut out red meat?
Right.
They don't say, okay, cut out apples
Yeah.
and cut out bananas. That's what you need to do. No,
Yeah.
you never hear that.
Yeah.
You know, and if you do, like, that's bizarre world.
Yeah.
That's the opposite.
Yeah.
So, to a question,
I
right?
just had to put that out there.
It's crazy.
It
Somehow
boggles
say
me.
stay away from too many fruits. So
Yeah.
this is what I'm thinking, and I'm pretty sure that's wrong anyway, because I'm gonna eat my fruits. I don't
Right.
care. So maybe the excess amount of fruits, right, which is fructose, maybe
right.
that could be a
Right,
possible reason
right.
why. You probably said maybe mango is pretty high in sugar, but for someone to say completely stay away from fruits, that's kind of
And
crazy.
mind you, if you do all of that, let's say you do that, that's like giving you the fast route to weight loss quickly,
I think that's what it was.
because it's in this world, it's the faster the result, the faster the money.
Yes. Yes.
You know, but I'm looking out for your health. I don't want it to just be fast and be like, hey, look, she lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks. Oh, I need to come to you.
that was the agenda. Yes.
And that's most of typically the agenda. And that's
Yeah.
why do you think Ozempic is so big now?
Yeah.
You know, just take the pill. And it tells the pill actually just makes you go, nope, I'm good. That's what it does. And if you just did that on your own, the discipline to say, yeah, I don't need that.
Yeah.
You know, but think about it, it's every day we're like, blast, 30 seconds, blast, food. So you're always in that mindset,
Yeah.
you know, so we have to take over our mind.
Yeah.
in
The
order
discipline
to do
comes
it.
first. It's true. The discipline comes first. So with packages with, when you were talking about the workouts that you do for your clients, I also want to tap into nutrition. So because people know that you're vegan, do they automatically expect a package that is vegan, or do you even tap into meat with them to kind of help them if that's not where they're at?
You know, when I first started, people were like, you should just train only vegans. I was like, cool. But then I was like, I was broke. Because most vegans can't even not vegans, but when my expertise, my time doing this, my rate mirrors that, right? So some people see my rate and they're like, whoa. So if I had only a specific niche, they wouldn't be able to do it. So I work with everybody. And when I go in the nutritional aspect of it, I go through it strictly through macros because it's a clear route. Of course, it can be complicated to some people because they make it complicated, but it's just now that, and of course, I also direct them to make sure you're getting a lot of nutrients in because there used to be a time it was called IIFYM. You ever heard that? If it fits your macros.
Okay.
They need it, which is true because if you need 30 grams of carbs and this pastry is going to give you 30 grams of carbs, okay. Because there was a study showed somebody did McDonald's for like a while.
I remember that one.
And he still lost weight.
Yeah.
But it's because he followed a macro style. The nutrients probably weren't there.
Correct.
But he was fitting his macros.
Okay.
So it shows that you can almost eat anything, but you got to look at it from more of a deeper aspect than just the surface.
Correct.
So that's how I work with people with macros. Now, some people, if they're vegan and they really want me to go more in depth, I can help them there.
Okay.
But I'm not ultimately pushing them to go vegan. What tends to happen is sometimes if they are competitors, they look at my physique and they're like, man, I'm tired of eating like this. I want to eat like you. How can I do it? And then I can help them with that.
Okay. Understood. Is there any last questions that you have until we wrap up?
Yeah. Back to the macros. Very similar thing I use for most of my clients because I feel like it's not like they're having a dog diet where they got to eat the same thing over and over again. So macro kind of give them more freedom to actually, you can meet your needs and still have a life, right? Compared to like when I was competing, it was just a strict diet.
Yes.
So
Because all it looked like he was eating was just chicken.
Yeah, and that's what
Chicken
happens.
veggies.
Now,
Chicken
mind you,
veggies.
as you get closer to the show, it becomes more detailed and stricter because your calories go lower.
Okay.
So you're like, well, I'll stay here because why would I want to eat 5 chips when 12 is a serving size, but I can only eat 5? I mean, sometimes I do that. I'm like, oh, shoot, I eat 2. Whew. But as your calories get lower, you tend to go to just, all right, well, I just do this. Because it's like within the last 2 weeks, I'm eating pretty much the same thing.
Okay.
But that's because my calories have gotten lower because I know I'm getting ready to get on stage 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
So, and I can go out to a restaurant, people, and just watch, drink water. They're like, how you do this? I was like, because I know what I want to accomplish in 2 weeks. I'm focused. I can still come out and have fun and enjoy, but I don't have to partake.
Got it.
So sorry, one more thing.
No,
right?
good.
So as far as not just a bodybuilder, as a coach, I think we had this conversation earlier this morning with one of your clients, because now you're just coaching the entire body, right? Not just nutrition. How do you go about someone that's like, let's say you just see them not having a hard time following a diet, but you see the potential of them getting to their goals. And how would you go about a consultation of, hey, how can I help you get to that goal, knowing that they're having difficulties with just basically coaching, right?
Or receiving coaching?
Right. As far as how can you help me understand and get me to prep the right way?
Prep, yeah, that's true.
Well, first of all, I have to say, I don't really typically have, I think when people look at me per se, when they come to me, they already see my seriousness. And so I don't really have, most people come ready for me to coach them because they've seen my success and they see how I work with people. So I've never really had anyone come with me that I see their potential, but they're not coachable. I mostly get coachable people. And it's the same thing, I guess, when people say they have people tell them, you know, you're being vegan is not working out for you. Because you look at me, they can't say that. They're like, oh, it's working for you. Right. So it's the same thing when it comes to coaching. I've never really run into that where, so basically my point I'm getting at is I wouldn't even know how to do that because I've never had that experience of having to make someone coachable who wasn't ready to get for prep. They come to me, they know, okay, if you're coming to me, you got to be ready to go. And then we can move forward. If that answers it.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Awesome. So how can my audience follow you, find you, your website, social media? Let us know.
Torre Washington across the board.
Okay.
Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Torre Washington Official is YouTube. You know, I'm still working on putting more content on there. You know, it's grown and it's up and down because YouTube is tough.
Yeah, it
You
is.
know, it's a lot of edit work.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Instagram, and my website is torrewashington.com.
Okay.
And so that's it. And I'm now working on a book. Just got the first the proposal sent to an agent.
Okay.
So we're going to see where it goes from there, because I've been told I need to put my story out there more.
You should. You should. I'll definitely get a copy.
I appreciate it.
No, you should, because I love it. So again, thank you so much for being on the podcast, all the information and the gems that you've shared. Kirby, thank you for joining us as well.
Yeah, it was
and
good
I
to
can
have
see
you,
there
brother.
was a point that y'all knew what, and I was just there like, okay, yeah, y'all know what this talk is about or whatever. So again, audience, thank you so much for just tuning in to another episode. Please check out Torre Washington's page and his social media, and also check out, because you might see the pre-orders for his book. You know, support him, support
Thank you,
this movement. You know, because there's a lot of things that we don't see on our day to day, but right here we have Torre Washington that is telling you it is possible. We are discovering, so we want you to discover too. Until next time.